Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ground Up, produced by Mastermind Media. And today we have a very special guest, Ian Verdun, who is my very first co-star on my first show, Siren. And he's known for his role as Xander in Siren and NCIS, Hawaii Five-0. He also filmed an incredible movie this year called True Love with John David Washington, which we chat a little bit about. And I'm super excited to get into his ground up story today. So thank you for coming back and enjoy the episode. You guys, today on the pod, I have my first ever scene partner on television, on film ever. And he is an incredible, inspiring actor that truly inspires me. I feel like you are one of the few of my friends and people that I know that are like true artists, just the way that you talk about things, the work I've seen you do, and it's nothing like who you are in real life, like the work that I've seen you in. And so, of course, that is like really hard to tackle.
Oh my God, thank you. Like, seriously, thank you.
And life's a drag. Like, you're a writer, producer, creator. And like, I know about behind the scenes things that you're doing with like comic book stuff and writing. And so I'm just always inspired by you. And I'm so grateful to get your ground up story today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me to come. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to say things because you know I like talking.
You do, but you're very smart. I like listening. Sometimes I'm just like, we go hiking and I'm just like, I just want to listen to Ian. Like, I don't want to say anything.
Which is perfect because I just want to talk. I just want to just keep going and going and going. I'm the Energizer Bunny. It's a dated reference. Sorry, Gen Z. Apologies.
No apologies on here. Okay, well, we start every episode with the Ground Up 3, which are 3 questions that I want to ask you, which are, where are you from? What was your first job? As in like any job? Yeah, paying job, not in the industry, unless it was indeed in the industry, which I don't think it was.
I wish.
And your first ever dream job. Okay, so where are you from?
I am from LA. I'm from Los Angeles. I am a freaking unicorn. Can I curse, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a fucking unicorn. Thank you. Fuck, shit. Okay, great. Sorry, I'm so used to it. We work for Disney. I'm so used to like not
it's so
cursing.
True.
So, yeah, no, I'm from fucking Los Angeles. Fuck.
Fuckity split.
Fuck. Actually, I was born in Anaheim. So I was born in Orange County, but pretty much moved all over Southern California.
Okay.
We were like pretty like poor. So we were in Orange County, and then we were in the Inland Empire, Ontario, Chino, Pomona, into Los Angeles, Inglewood. I went to college in Valencia. So
wow, you were all over.
Kid. Yeah.
Okay. I thought also you were from, didn't you move somewhere else too?
I lived in Texas for a bit.
Just Texas? Okay.
Texas, and then I lived in New York as well, but that was after college.
That was after. Okay. So
yeah.
Or you are a full Cali baby like me.
Yeah, total Cali baby.
Why do I forget that?
I lived everywhere in Cali.
Why does New Orleans come to my head?
Because my family is originally from like Texas, New Orleans.
Okay.
They're all from the South. My mom moved here in like 84.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like, but she's from Texas and her mom is from Louisiana.
Got it. That's why I was thinking that. Okay.
Because I'm Creole.
Yes.
So it's like.
Yes.
So
that I knew. And so I was like, what? Maybe when he was a baby, but no, indeed you were born and raised.
I was born here. I am a California kid.
I love it. What was your first job?
My very first job, Jeebus. I mean, I guess it depends. Actually getting paid. After college, I went straight into the service industry.
Okay.
So I was always I worked at a place called Mom's Cafe. I went to Cal Arts, and there's this little like on campus little shop where you could hang out. And this was like the early 2000s. So everybody, it was like there was a big ass giant like those big fucking TVs that could probably kill somebody if it fell. Those hazards. It had one of those, and it was just like a little coffee shop. And then after college, I worked at this place called Bergamot Cafe in Santa Monica, and I used to rollerblade there because my car blew up on the 5 freeway my senior year of college.
Wow!
And so I didn't have a car, and I was about to move to New York, so I was like rollerblading from my mom's place to Santa Monica every day.
Wow!
To save up money to move to New York.
And you wanted to move to New York for?
Just because right after college I had a audition for one of my teachers. She was in the acting company, like Julia. Her name's Mary Lou Rosado. Amazing, like fucking amazing teacher and actress. And she set a few of us up with an audition for the acting company, which is like a traveling Shakespeare company. And I went out that summer, like the summer of my 22nd birthday, to go audition. I didn't get it. I bombed. It was terrible. I was so nervous. It was awful.
It was like your first audition.
That was like my first audition.
Like a
I
real
flew
audition.
across the country.
Yeah, outside of college. Because you
yeah.
went to college for acting.
I got my bachelor's of fine arts in theater. Like I studied in England. Like I was like that kid that just really wanted to be like good. And I just remember just really wanting to be good. And like having so much to prove. So I just went to, I wanted to train. I remember the first job I got, I didn't have a lot of savings. I saved up like $800 like from that coffee shop. And I'm like, here I am.
This'll do.
Exactly. Like 3 bags and $800 in New York City. And I'm like, I'll be fine. And
that lasted 4 days. Wow.
A very quick wake up call. And I had no winter clothes because California. And I just remember being very, very cold. And I had this first job I ever got was this like bike messenger job. And it was like answering on Craigslist and just like finding like work on Craigslist. And I went someplace, it was somewhere in Manhattan. I don't remember exactly what street it was on, but we went up to it and the guy started like describing the job and I'm like reading all this stuff. And I'm like, fuck every ounce of this. I cannot do this.
I'm out. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah, so after the orientation was done, they were like, we're gonna like, okay, collect your IDs, and I like, okay, I'm collecting my things.
Let me go get it in my non-existent car.
Yeah, I like hightailed it to the goddamn elevator, and then that night I applied for another job, and I ended up working there for a while, and it led to all my other jobs.
Okay.
I worked as an usher at this place called New World Stages, a little off Broadway place, but it's like a little underground theater complex. And I was an usher.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up making a lot of friends that I have till this day. There, it was actually a really beautiful time. I mean, we were all broke. And everybody there was actor.
I feel like we have to have those times though. And personally, sometimes I look back on them, like not the nights where I was like, obviously like couldn't pay my rent, I was having extreme anxiety, but there are times where I'm like, I miss hustling throughout the day, having to go to auditions and then having to be at Boa Steakhouse by like 4 p.m. and like calling and being like, I got a flat tire, I'm going to be late. But really I was just like in the casting office for like hours and, never heard anything back. But, having to do that.
I do not miss working those jobs in every ounce of the world. Yeah. I do not miss any of it at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I miss the stability of the paycheck. That's like, it's low, but it keeps coming.
Right. At least it's consistent.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, every 2 weeks I get paid. Novelty.
So what was your first dream job? Was it always acting or did you have something else?
No. My first dream job was a comic book artist. I wanted to be a comic book artist and a comic book writer. That was like what I really, really wanted to do because I would draw. My mom was an artist as well. So she had a bunch of like art books, and she taught me how to draw proportions. And I didn't get toys as a kid. I got like sheets of paper and pencils and colored pencils and just like creative stuff. So I just would just dive into it and just was in my imagination all the time. And I used to make these comic books at school. So in junior high, like I would make my own little comics. I would read them vociferously. I was a big comic book nerd. I still am.
Yes.
And I just kind of like would just make them and give them to my friends. And then by the time I got to high school, I would, I made this, it was terrible. I've seen some like old, it's really bad, but it was called Famous. I made this like little like kind of joke comic book with all of my friends in it. And we were all like nerds and like singers and dancers and the choir and, we worked in the theater doing all the backstage stuff for like assemblies. So we were just like the theater nerds, but I was also in the football team. So it was a really big, so it was a really big like dichotomy.
Huge.
Yeah, huge. And yeah, it was called Famous. I did 2 issues like of it, Famous 1 and Famous 2, and I treated them like seasons.
What a unique,
oh
my God.
That's what I wanted to do.
What a unique, like choice to want to do as a kid. Like I want to be a comic book writer and then actually do it. And then your mom being like, here's, okay, let's exercise that right brain. Like here's a bunch of crayons and paper and
she was always that
allowing
way.
You because comic book, it's so not rigid. It's like you get to literally just draw everywhere and put like little blurbs and like what they're saying and there's no.
Well, there's actually like a huge art to it and it can be very like now that I know I'm like getting back into that space now from a very different level and different side. But so I realize now, getting into comics and writing comics and how much structure and how much goes into it. But as a kid, you're just like, like write this, whatever this is going to say.
Yeah, blind confidence. Like, I can do anything.
Going.
Yeah.
And it was, I was just obsessed with it until I was in junior high and I did a play. I did summer school and it was the summer that Mulan came out.
Oh, wow.
Dating myself.
Oh, my God. That was my favorite Disney movie ever.
That came out in the summer of 1998.
Okay, yep. I was 4.
I was 13.
Okay.
And I did a play. They did a play version of Mulan. And I just remember like auditioning for it for the school and it being the first time. And I got this role that I fucking hated. I was like the really annoying like emperor's assistant, like the guy that you fucking hated. And I was that guy, and I was like, "Damn, I wanted to be general."
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's get down to business. And I was just like upset about it, but I put my heart into it. And I just enjoyed it.
And that's how you found out that you loved acting.
Yeah, this is what I want to do. And I was in the school play every year for school until I went to college for it.
So I never did any plays or drama. I would sign up every year for like drama class in high school and middle school, but it wasn't me, and I never knew why. I was like, I don't like this, like doing plays. I like watching them. I know. And so, but on your story, in 6th grade, I auditioned for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, God.
And I really wanted to be Veruca Salt.
Of course.
Like really bad. Yeah,
of course.
So auditioned. I cannot sing for sure. I'm pretty sure it was a musical, like the one that we did. I cannot sing, but I sang Hannah Montana's theme song, and I booked Veronica Salt's dad. And that was my first and last theater role ever.
Also, how much do I love that you were singing a Hannah Montana song?
I know.
That is so funny to me.
I don't understand why I did that or why my mom let me. I'm not 100% sure.
That's so sweet. I didn't even know the theme song to that. I was well into college by the time Montana was a thing.
It's actually really funny. I just posted a TikTok literally 2 hours ago of the Hannah Montana theme song. And I put like listening to the song, if only I knew where I'd be today, because I would listen to it because she's like famous, but also a normal girl.
Yeah.
And so she's like, and so.
I'm famous, but I'm normal.
I'm just an ordinary girl. We are a perfect cutoff to where we had very just different kid shows that we watched.
Oh, completely.
But were you into SpongeBob?
SpongeBob was after my time.
Okay. I was utterly obsessed with SpongeBob, like all over my room, posters, SpongeBob television, sheets, bounce houses, cakes, everything.
So I remember my friends in high school, their little brothers and sisters would be into SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So I would see it because the kids were watching
right.
it.
But you weren't sitting at home watching it. There's no way.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But there was one show that I was upset that I did freaking love, and I was in college and I would watch it. It was Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh, yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents was fucking brilliant.
Like classic.
Just
brilliant
television.
I'm really excited to know I know your ground up story. Like I know that you had a million auditions before you did get out of college and you booked Siren pretty soon after.
No, that was 10 years later.
10 years. Okay. Yeah. So I also saw on IMDb that you did like 6 or 7 like co-star guest stars before Siren.
Yeah.
And so you were auditioning all that time. 4 series regulars.
No.
Okay, tell us the story. So you went to college, you got out, you moved to New York, you came back to LA.
Yeah.
Came back to LA and you got a job, got an apartment, like how did you stay steady? Like one of the main questions I get a lot is how did you support yourself without going crazy and like, having anxiety and being sad without stop not pursuing your dream? Like how did you get to auditioning and all of that whilst working at a restaurant or wherever you worked?
The answer is barely.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Like definitely barely. It sucks. And sometimes it sucks. And at those times, especially if you don't have like if I was blessed enough to have very wealthy parents or, parents who were already famous or something like that, I would totally use those cards. Trust.
Not us.
Yeah.
But we respect it.
I do not begrudge those who are born into that place using those cards. Do it. I didn't have that. So things were just hard. There was not a lot of support, and I had a lot of like very emotional and familial support. Like they supported what I was doing in the dream, But there just wasn't a lot of resources there to help, so you're just kind of, for a lot of time, you're just doing it without a net. So it can be very anxiety inducing, and it took a lot of years to kind of accept that as a reality of the industry and a reality of, my particular facet of existence, and just be like, you know what, that's okay. I still believe. And I've always just been stubborn. I'm just a very hard-headed person.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, how did you gain the confidence over those 10 years of auditioning? I mean, you passionately loved it, and then there has to be, stubbornness or.
Stubborn. Just stubborn. I was very stubborn. I still am to a degree, but I think I've mellowed out as I've gotten older. But I just remember, like, in college, I was having a conversation with a friend from college the other day, and I was just like, I just was very sure of my opinions. I was just very, very, very sure of everything, when I was like 20, 21. And I also remember graduating, and I did, like, if you wanted, like, the full, like, story, I graduated from college, and we did a showcase. You usually have, like, a showcase for agents and representation, like, on the East Coast and the West Coast. So we had one in New York, and we had one in LA my senior year. And my senior year, my showcase in LA, actually, it went really well. I was really proud of what I did. I cut together this scene from The Devil's Advocate, from the movie The Devil's Advocate, and it was like this last scene with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, and I just cut out Keanu Reeves and then, like, cut all of Al Pacino's lines into a monologue, and rewrote it into a monologue. So I did his, like, last as this big monologue at the end, and it was so cush. But I ended up getting a bunch of interest from agencies and from ABC. So I had, like, a few generals after that, and then I randomly just decided to move to New York because I had this opportunity to audition for the acting company. And I moved, and I was like, okay, I'm only going to do that in my early 20s. If I'm going to, like, uproot my life and do this, and this is the career I want, and this is the experience I want, I have to do it now. So I did it, had a rough, crazy, insane, beautiful, magical, terrifying time. I was only there for 2 years.
Learned so much, though.
So much about myself.
Got out of your comfort. Like, that is so uncomfortable, flying across the country with $800.
Yeah.
But out of that came literally who you are today. All the opportunities that you've seized now would have not happened without that experience.
Including, while I was there, I did the ABC Diversity Showcase, which I had heard up through my ex, my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, oh, I'll audition for this too. Great. So I sent in my stuff. I had that general with Sandy Logan at ABC, and so I emailed her when I sent in all of my materials, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking of auditioning for this. And she was like, oh, sure. Okay, great. And so I ended up getting the audition and ended up booking it. On my birthday. I booked it on my 23rd birthday.
Oh my God.
And that was a magical time too. I ended up making a bunch of friends there that, again, to this day, and it's been amazing to see how people's careers evolve. Our year was Gina Rodriguez and Sebastian Lacaze, who also collabed with me on Life's a Drag.
Wow.
Yeah, so, like,
and Gina became a longtime friend.
And I've known Gina for years. After that, I kind of moved back to Los Angeles because I was at the time working as a cocktail server on Broadway during Rock of Ages. Because I was working at New World Stages. Rock of Ages transferred there in 2008. And then the producers of that show kind of liked a few of us that were working on the bar staff at New World. And they're like, hey, do you want to come with the show? We want to do this cocktail serving thing during the show on Broadway. Do you want to come and just, like, be a part of the show and just, like, be in the audience and da-da-da-da? And we were like, yeah, hell yeah. So at that time I was making so much money. We were making so much money, like, hand over fist.
And you're, like, part of the action.
And you're part of the action.
Yeah.
Like, we're friends with everybody in the cast. And I just remember, like, I would go and, like, smoke with some people in the cast. Like, we're uptown and, like, okay, it's almost time for the show. So we're going down to the theater. And I'm an acting major. And I had done the showcase. And I'd done all this stuff. But, like, this was my day job. I was just, like, serving drinks, with a bunch of black eyeliner on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those pictures exist. They're somewhere.
What a time, though. Yeah. Like you're saying in New York. It
was very New York. It was so New York. But I just remember just having this very sinking feeling every time we got to the stage door. And the people who I was friends with in the cast would make a right and go backstage. And I would make a left to the concessions to serve drinks. And it just killed me. And I was like, okay, I'm moving back. So I ended up moving back to LA in '09 with $8,000 as opposed to 800.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I was
leveled up
a little.
And that will be 4 months.
Exactly. And I just kind of pulled up all of my connections that I had made from the years prior. There was an agent that was interested in me that I left when I went to New York. And so I reached out to him, and he was like, I'd still love to work with you. And I reached out to everybody at ABC, and they were like, yeah, sure. And I had another general. And Sandy at the time was VP of casting at ABC. And she was the one that called me in for that general after college. So.
And how long has this been? 2 years, you said?
I graduated, so that was like '09, and yeah, about 2 years because I got back in 2009. Yeah.
So you came back and you were like, okay, here are all my contacts. I need to make this happen. I watched them go right. I had to go left.
Yeah.
And I'm in the city of TV and film. And then you sent pitch emails essentially.
I just emailed everyone.
Yeah. So you got meetings.
So I ended up getting meetings. And I just remember things being kind of slow. I didn't have a SAG card at the time. And so like that's what at ABC they were like, you need to have your SAG card. You have to have your SAG card. You got to get SAG. So I ended up doing a bunch of extra work. So much extra work.
For anyone listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, so in order to get into SAG, first of all, it costs an arm and a leg. So you can't just like get in. You need to either get vouchers by doing extra work, or you can be something called Taft-Hartley'd by booking a SAG job. But then the production has to pay a ton of money for you to be able to do that. So likely they rather pick someone who is already SAG.
Yeah.
So
or at least
you
SAG
have to
eligible.
SAG eligible, SAG-E. So you have to we have to put in the footwork. You did extra work. A lot of people. I did. I ended up booking a national commercial, which is clutch, but very rare. And I had done my fair share of also, I just never got the vouchers. I think I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Oh, so you never asked? You never like?
Yeah,
like, oh,
I didn't. I wasn't like doing extra work to get vouchers. I was literally 17 figuring out how to get up to LA. And I was like LA casting, finding things. And I would always do things that wasn't like normal extra work. Like I wasn't getting paid $10 an hour. It would be like $500 for the day, but it was full on treated like an extra. But it was just like maybe more of like a model. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than, so you get paid a little bit more, but
because you're being featured.
Something like that. Yeah. Even if you never got featured.
And you're paying to be featured.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you did a ton of, oh my God. So extra work.
Okay.
Woo!
Yeah. Oh yes. No, I mean, like it was fun in the sense that like, it was good to see how sets worked because I was so theater oriented and it was very much understood, the rules of theater and the rules of stage. But I hadn't really been on set very much until I did all that extra work and like random stuff. Like I was in a Kesha music video.
Yes.
You can still see it. Like I would it's still there. It's on YouTube. And there's 25-year-old me like getting slapped by Kesha.
Stop! Really? I love it.
And that was I think the video was blah blah blah. It wasn't for a very like blink and you miss.
I love that song.
But, yeah,
we are so that I did the exact same thing. Like Fifth Harmony music video.
Oh my God, yes.
And I was. You were 25, I was literally 18. So like, and we're 7 years apart now?
We're
more than that.
What year were you born?
94.
9.
18. Oh, 9 years apart. Okay. So we were like essentially hustling kind of at similar times, but I never went to college. I love the route that you went with being like, I want to know everything as much as I can control, right? Because we're about to get in this industry where like, all the odds are against us, especially someone of color.
And that's a whole other thing. I slipped through so many of the casting cracks that it's hard. I never really put a lot of stock in how I look. So I always put stock in what I could do, my talent.
You had to. You didn't have a choice.
Like that's if I'm really good, if I'm just really, really, really good, like maybe it'll
if I work triple harder than my white counterpart, then I might be able to get on a call sheet
somewhere. Somebody just at least recognize that he's good.
Yeah. So let's dive into that a little bit. And I definitely want to talk about Siren. So then you got your SAG card. You started doing. Is this where the 10 years starts?
That's
23.
The 10 year because I booked Siren. I just turned 31.
Oh, wow.
So
oh, my God.
I graduated college when I was 21. So it was literally 10 years later.
Wow. So I mean, essentially you were pursuing, right? You were putting energy into acting besides drama in high school, but you were like taking it seriously professionally, trying to at 18.
Yeah, no, I knew it was what I wanted to do right when I went to school.
So,
I knew it's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And no one could tell me anything.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, I'm doing this.
I am doing this. This is happening. That's the mindset you literally have to have.
Yeah.
Because every day people are going to bog you down and be like, actually, you can't do this. And then you have to be like, you just drown it out or.
Well, people are always going to project their limitations onto you, you know, and I learned that at a very young age, you know, like, okay, that's fine. If those are your fears and that's, you know, your limits, your boundaries of where you're willing to go, that's fine. You know, that's totally valid. Your experience is totally valid. Mine is mine. I have to discover my own path. And if I end up it not working or I fall straight on my face, I can at least say it was mine, you know, like they were my mistakes. It was my life. It was my choice.
Right.
That led to it.
Do it for anyone else or quit for somebody else.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you go home with you.
Exactly. And I remember my mom always would say, you never quit at anything. You never fail at anything until you quit. You know, it's like, there's no such thing as failure. There's there's falling down. There's making mistakes. There's all that other thing, but failure doesn't exist. You just either quit. Sometimes quitting at things is healthy. You know, quitting bad relationships. That's a great failure.
Right.
Great.
Keep failing.
Keep failing toxic relationships.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's always a matter of choice. So I made a very conscious decision to say, I don't care if it happens when I'm 25 or when I'm 45. Like.
And in this industry, you have to make that decision because it's like, isn't it an industry standard? It takes 10 years to do anything.
Yeah, and that's very most certainly true in my regard.
Same Absolutely. With me. So 22 to 31, you're out there, you're auditioning. You got an agent and a manager, you're auditioning. So I'm curious, what did these auditions, things have changed so much over the years as far as diversity and character breakdowns, and what did it look like when you were 25? What were you going out for? Were there leads for you? Oh, no. Or they didn't even know what to do with you?
No, they didn't know at all what to do with me, like whatsoever, like at all. Like, and I got that even in college, people would just be like, I mean, I guess you could be a leading man, but there's something I just don't know. And I'm like, I wonder what that is.
I wonder. Why don't you
that could be? But I think as far as like the auditioning world, like I actually auditioned very, very seldomly. You know, like I was at a few boutique agencies, and you know, I just ended up. I remember doing a lot of the hustling and a lot of the work myself.
Wow.
I mean, it's years now, so I'm not gonna say who gave me this pass. I'm not gonna say who, but I had it, and I had basically a pass code into the breakdowns. Oh. So I remember I was like, you know, when I was like 23 to about 26, 27, I would check the breakdowns every day myself.
Whoa!
So I would check that. I would log in, check the fucking breakdowns.
Yes.
And I would just like, I put out a little list of just being like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. I definitely wasn't at the career level to where I could even compete for roles like that. But like, and I was like, okay, so I'd tell my agent about it and I'd be like, so there's this role, this role, this role, this role. I'd research who the casting director was. Then I would find out, I would Google them and then be like, okay, are they or an associate or somebody else at the office, are they doing a workshop somewhere nearby that I can take? So I can just get in front of them so I can see the work. They just need to see my work. And I was like, okay, I'm in LA and there's not a lot of people that are trained and and people taking workshops. I was like, I'm going to be better than like 70 to 80% of the people in that room. I will stand out. So get me in a room where I can, you know, where luck can happen. So if I'm not getting these auditions, how do I meet them? So I would find the casting director workshops, and, you know, it was a lot of trial and errors. And I learned for me, I needed to take ones that were, and they were investments. And I didn't have any money. Like I'm like getting fired from one job to the other job because I just couldn't really maintain the bartending because between my ego and my patience, and people are just awful to you when you're serving them. They just turn into their worst selves, and you're just expected to just like take it. And you're like, ma'am, I don't give a shit about your fucking tuna casserole. I don't care,
ma'am.
Like,
please
I don't
go back home to your cats. I have a fucking life.
Don't fucking care. All right. Like, So I would be fine, and then I would just get really irritated, and then I wear my emotions on my face. That's why I'm a goddamn actor. You know what I'm thinking. It's on my face. And I would just get fired. So I would.
So you didn't have like necessarily, a clutch, $4,000 coming in a month where you could be paying for these workshops, by the way, which cost money.
Yeah, they
which,
cost
by the way,
money.
like, I just want to say, I fucking love everything that you just said about what you had to do, right? Like, agents get 10% of our commission, we get 90%. So I tell people that think that they just get to like sit back. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to get you auditions. But when you're up and coming and you're hustling, like you have to do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna,
It doesn't just happen.
It doesn't just happen.
Even
like,
at that level, it still doesn't. It just doesn't.
No,
It doesn't.
no.
You're always having to do work, and there's never a point where it's just like, oh, it's all just coming in.
it's all just
Woo!
happening.
Like,
yeah, I don't believe in luck.
and
I
it's
think
waves,
that preparation met with opportunity is luck.
That's when it happens. You have to set yourself up for luck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't set yourself up for luck, it's not going to happen. You'll be quite unlucky.
Yeah, right?
So then you will have to unfuck yourself.
Yeah. Thomas Edison said, I think he said, the harder I seem to work, the more luck I seem to have.
Exactly.
Just one of my favorite quotes.
Hard work, like it shows, and it takes time. People are also just very impatient, and I think a lot of younger actors as well. Like I think people are very just influenced by this TikTok idea, this idea that just like, oh, I'm accidentally famous and I have a bajillion followers and people are giving me money, and that's what it means. And you're like, no, like you still have to be good. Like even if that puts you up and it gives you a platform to give you those opportunities, you can have those opportunities, but you won't have the luck because you suck.
Exactly.
Like,
or you haven't put the
be
work
good,
in.
Put the work in. Sure, all that stuff is valid, but be a good actor.
Yes.
Be good.
Like I don't get worried. Like people in acting class will be like, oh, it's so annoying. I have to put my Instagram handle when I sign in, when there used to be in-person auditions, when I sign in now. And, I'm not big on Instagram or TikTok. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. If you are so famous, yes, they're making Netflix, you'll get one movie and be the lead in it because you're a huge TikTok star or whatever. But like to actually get good work with incredible people and that wins awards and gritty and this, that, the other, like, I'm sorry, you have to do the work. So I'm not worried about people on TikTok and Instagram that are becoming famous because
well, it's flash in the pan. Like it's happened all the time. The industry is going to reward what's going to make the money. It's just, and that's just if you have eyeballs, that just makes financial sense, especially if the movie doesn't require great acting. So it's just like you just have to be honest about what you want. Like like, do you want to just be famous, which is fine, do it. That's
totally
there is an avenue for that. Sure. But do you want to be really good, and that's why you're famous,
right?
And
if you become famous from a viral TikTok, and you're like, hey, I really love this, and then you go into doing the work and you get an agent and you're then
prove
fuck
wrong.
yes,
like say
I'm
fuck
so
you,
here for
I'm
that.
so good. Like I'm gonna prove that I can come from this space and be good. And if you can't do that, shut up. Like, shut up.
I couldn't agree more. So you're auditioning, you finally get in front of Tanis, and tell us about your audition process.
Oh yeah,
for Siren.
Very interesting audition process for Siren. At the time I was homeless. Like it's just I was living in a car when I was I had just gotten out of the car, and we were just getting living in just little short-term stays, like Airbnbs, and renting out a room here, and sometimes you'd be there for 2 weeks, and sometimes you'd be there for 2 months, or whatever. But it was a year of that, so I was in that cycle.
Wow.
And at the time, I had wrote and produced and starred in my own pilot, Life's a Drag. And I just had gotten so frustrated by that point with just auditioning because it just was so hit or miss.
Because it's been 10 years.
Yeah, and it had been 10 years. That was that was 2015. I was about to turn 30, and I was and I just remember just putting all of those emotions into Life's a Drag, and ended up just being very proud of what I made. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this myself. I'm tired of people, of waiting for somebody to see where I fit in a box.
In their boxes that they've created for us.
Hollywood, especially I'm Black, I'm a Black person, I'm Creole, I'm a fully Black person. Both of my parents are Black people. And I continue having to say that. It's kind of it's a diaspora. There's lots of shades of Blackness. But I'm never, in terms of Hollywood, Black enough to be Black. I'm not a white person, so I can't play those roles, So there always had to be a level of ambiguity in the character description.
Ethnically ambiguous.
Yeah, or just not described at all, to where there was a space where I could come in, or they'd have to literally describe me.
And then did you feel like if it did say open ethnicity, did you look at that and you were like,
they don't know what they want.
They don't know what they want. Did that make you like happy? Because I have one of my best girlfriends who's Asian. She would see that and she would get so bummed. She'd be like, I don't feel confident. They're not going to go with me. They're going to go with, like I'm so happy to audition for it. But I feel like when it's not Asian, they go with someone white.
I mean, yeah, it's a crapshoot. At least it's an opportunity. You're in the room,
totally.
Like, that's what I would try and bank on. Is like, okay, I may not book this person, but I'm gonna book this role, but I'm gonna book this casting room. Like, I'm gonna book this casting office. Like,
I'm gonna put again all my work in, do the best I fucking can to show them.
They're going to remember me, and when something comes up, and they're like, this guy. Yeah. That would always be still is to this day. My goal is to book that casting director. I need to make a fan. That's my goal. Like, the job would be great, but I need to make a fan.
Because when a role comes up, they're going to think of Ian.
It'll finally be a thing. Yeah. So I was in that cycle for, all my career. Like, it's to this day, that's still a thing. But at the time I was just so frustrated. I was like, fuck auditioning. I'll still audition. I'm not calling my agent and being like, I don't want to audition. I just remember being really annoyed when an audition came, because I was busy writing and I was busy creating my own thing. And then finally, I did a Kickstarter campaign and had put a bunch of money into going into festival circuit. And we went to, I ended up getting into a few festivals, but I got into a Series Fest, which did independent pilots. I think they're in in season 9 or so by now. Or 8, something like that. But this was season 2. They had just started. And so it got in. It was part of the festival, part of competition. And we ended up winning an award, which was great. And the cash money out of that award literally got me off the street.
Really?
Literally, I didn't know this. No joke. Because it was enough to get me off of the out of the car.
Physically,
off of the street. And so I just remember being just very proud that my art, in this hard work and a period of immense pain and struggle, was starting to actually create movement in my career. And I was just very okay, I'm putting my eggs in this basket. I can at least control the work that I do every day to make this move, even though I can't control auditions and when they happen and what happens after I audition. So I ended up getting people were interested in producing it and making it a TV show from the indie pilot I did. And I was actually starting to pitch. So while I was starting to pitch, and then right around my 31st birthday, I got the audition for Siren. And I remember randomly I was on my way to an island to go kayak, and I was we were going out to sea, and I was just kind of on a boat. I'm not lying. This happened, and just being kind of mermaids. I guess, yeah, confirm.
Yeah.
Sure, all right. And then I just kind of I auditioned for it, but my focus was I was pitching a TV show.
Right.
And I'd been doing all this, a year and a half worth of work on this show. So that's where all of my energy and mental energy was. And I was auditioning, and it was just kind of okay, yeah.
Great. That's always how it happens.
Yeah. And then I just remember my first pitch for the TV show was one day, and the very next day was my studio test for Siren. It was
my God.
Bam, bam. And then I remember my agent calling me and just being so they're being too nice. I was like, what? It's yeah, I think they might watch you for this because they're being really nice. And I just was going through and during all this time, I was working 2 jobs. I was bussing tables at Pump in West Hollywood.
Wow.
And I was bartending at Le Petit Hermitage, which is little hermit, high end,
bungalow,
small,
hotel in West
Hollywood. And I was holding down those 2 jobs while selling this show, while auditioning at the same time, while being technically homeless.
Yeah.
All of this is all happening at the same time. And then I ended up booking the pilot for Siren, and I was like, oh shit, oh. Then it was out of the blue. It was very, very, very kind of crazy, and yeah, I was 31, and I just remember going to go shoot it. And then right after we shot the pilot, I ended up booking an episode of Lucifer.
Oh my gosh.
Literally I got back and I booked Lucifer.
I saw that on IMDb, and I was like, how did he shoot Lucifer in this year when he booked Siren? Because when you're on a show, you can't be shooting other shows.
But you just can't be a series regular.
You can't be series regular, which by the way, apparently now you can, if it doesn't conflict.
Yeah, because if the timing doesn't conflict, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's why would that be a thing?
Oh my gosh, that story is actually
That's how
crazy.
Siren happened.
But I feel like that's how it always happens. Right when your mind isn't in this, like, for lack of a better word, desperate energy of like, I need to book something or else I'm going to quit, die, be homeless. You know what I mean? These types of things.
Yeah. I also think too, for me, it was like kind of the realization that your fears don't have to control you because they don't necessarily end you. Like I just remember being very, because I didn't come from money, and it was always a struggle, you know, like it was waves of, okay, maybe I'd be okay, but then, you know, a lot of times your feet are at the fire, and you know, you're just kind of like a sneeze away from insolvency. And I just remember my worst fear because, you know, as a kid, you know, there were points where we were technically kind of homeless, and, you know, like, and we were all over the place and moving around a lot. So my biggest fear was being homeless for a long time. Wow. It was like a big fear of mine. And I had a very, very unhealthy and toxic relationship to the idea of money. Like just thinking about money just gave me anxiety. It just gave me a sense of fear. My heart rate would elevate. And I just remember just going through that period and just like it just being a complete breakdown and just kind of like the most rock bottomy feeling at the time that I had felt, and it not destroying me. And just being like, my fears really don't mean much because it happened and it didn't kill me. Wow. And
I wonder if that opened this energy of like, okay, now I can accept this abundance of money and success.
Well, and I just didn't fear
receiving it.
I didn't fear receiving it. I didn't fear losing it. I think that was the biggest thing, is because it was like, I know I can get through the toughest of times. Right. I know I can handle that. So that's not going to scare me. So my decisions that I make moving forward are just kind of like, what do I have to lose? Yeah. This, I've had to get it from scratch. I've had to do that over and over and over and over again. I'm rebuilding all the time. So it just doesn't scare me. And as time has moved forward, it's become easier and much easier and easier. Just kind of letting that whole dichotomy go. You know, just being like, you know, fears, there's only one type of rational fear. Like, are you running from a bear?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Are you like literally about to die?
Right.
You know, like that's rational. Everything else is irrational.
And we can't control any outcome, especially in this industry, but that's anything in life we cannot control. All we can control is how we react to it and doing the work to get there. That's all we can control.
And creating your own.
And
finding it, and like,
I feel like you're such a definition of that. I'm fucking loving this conversation. Like, you have created every single opportunity.
I mean, you have to, I mean, and it's not to say that it's like, oh my God, I did it all by myself. No, like even like, creating Life's Drag, I had, again, like Sebastian, brilliant artistic mind, the makeup artists, the hairstyle, like there were so many amazing artistic minds. But it's just like putting your vision down and releasing the idea that it's bad, or the idea that it won't go. Who cares if it's bad? Who cares? There's tons of bad stuff that makes it. There are tons of, it doesn't matter. It's all a matter of opinion. It's all a matter of are you giving yourself joy? Are you remembering why you went into it? If you went in it to be, I remember in acting school, if you're going in this to be famous, you're already starting off, you're already setting yourself up for pain. And
that is like Stoic philosophy right there. They literally say, they're like, if you are going at it for success, don't worry, because you won't be successful. That's like, and you have to love the process. I say this in like every episode that I do, but I genuinely personally love the process of acting. Like, there's hard times, but once you just have to love doing it. You have to, because it's 90% of the work. And
it has to be what you want to do. I think the only way I got through it was because it was what I want. It's what I want, and come hell or high water, and there's been plenty of hell and there's been plenty of high water. This is going to happen. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be where I want to be. And I don't care if it happens when I'm 50 or 70 or 90. This was like a lifelong commitment. I made a decision, and I think people, and it's easy when you're younger. Like, I just always, and I also recognize that that's a rare thing. Not everybody like has that kind of. We've talked about this, where like I knew from a very young age, I want that. Right.
We are blessed to have known our purpose. For sure. And I totally understand that, because a lot of people, at 16, people are like, okay, ready to go tour colleges. Like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. I'm a baby.
I'm a little baby.
I'm a little baby. I don't know what I want to do.
I'm sorry.
And like rightfully so, you shouldn't have to, the pressure of all that. And that's like a whole other conversation. But we're definitely lucky that we knew what we want to do. However, it was one of the hardest industries that we had to choose.
It is a difficult industry, but I mean, like it requires you being self-assured,
authentic,
or at least knowing how to pretend to be authentic.
Yeah. But I also mean just like with what we want to do, we have to be authentic with ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Right?
If you be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
Because I know a big thing that people do is pursue it for years and years and years. And then finally they stop and sit down and they're like, if they ever do, and they're like, wait, do I love this anymore? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really know. And then, people get out of it or they take a new approach and it, reframes their inspiration for it. And then I feel like to where you've come now too, you've just discovered so much with also what you want to do with like comic book creation and having the confidence to be like, okay, I'm still wanting to be the fucking lead, absolutely, in a huge film, but I also want to be a producer or a writer.
Yeah, I think it's framing yourself as like, yes, I'm an actor, but I think the more important definition that all of us should have is I'm a storyteller. I like telling stories. I like being a part of the process of telling a great story and telling a story that I don't think I've really seen before. Mm-hmm. And there's so many, there's so many different facets of the human experience that haven't been explored in a numerous amount of mediums. And I love the idea of bringing whatever my personal unique experience is to the storytelling, diaspora. I love that idea. And whether that's as a facet as an actor, which I love that art, I love the craft, or as a writer, I love that art, I love that craft. I love the control that's involved in that craft and in creating perspectives and shifting perspectives. It's a beautiful opportunity and such an amazing art form. And so are comics, which I think only now, like I remember being a kid and it just was such like a silly little thing that, like you're in a comic, we're out of that. And it was like, will I? Same thing with video games, like, joke's on you guys. Joke's on you guys. I am in my late 30s and I'm a gamer.
Big video gamer, folks.
Hail to the yes.
He's a stan. Have you done a video game as an actor?
I haven't. I would love to.
Those are like so many big money too.
And I have so many friends that are in them. I just did this episode of... when I went to go do NCIS in Hawaii, and I just remember meeting the rest of the cast, the guest cast, and one of the actresses, Erica Luttrell, she was in it, and we were following each other's Instagram. I'm looking at her Instagram, and I was kind of like, "You're fucking Zoe in Horizon." Forbidden West, you are Zoe. I fangirled so hard. I love that. I was like, you were so good. You were so good. I'm like, I fucking love you. And she's like sitting there just kind of like,
yeah. You're like, no, you don't get it. You don't get
it. It's like I spent hours.
Oh my God. I want to manifest that for you. I can so see you in it.
I would love it.
They shoot really cool places too, even though it can be on in a green screen on a stage.
Yeah, but it's all like pure imagination. And like that, like it's like theater school. It's like when you have like, theater boxes and stuff like this, and there's green screens and stuff like,
so much fun.
Yeah. I was in this movie with, I can't say it too much about it.
But you can, okay. Yeah. I do want to talk about that. It is on IMDb. So
it is on IMDb.
So you just worked with John David Washington.
I did.
You guys! Oh my God.
He's awesome.
In like an incredible place. And I'm so excited for you and for this movie to come out, you guys, this year.
It's gonna be cool. But I guess I could say enough of the story, like, because Allison Janney is in it, and I just remember talking to her and talking about like this idea of getting back to that theater space, like, so when you're in environments that sometimes you're not in a real place, and you are on there is a green screen, or there's this or there's that, like you're in a video game, you're in a big green room, and or you're like doing Avatar: The Way of Water, and you just have like all these baubles and things on you. It's like the idea that you can let go of the idea of being seen and having to look good, and everybody's makeup people and everybody's futzing with you, and like making sure your clothes are sitting on right and all that stuff, and just letting that go, and just being able to act. And that's like that feeling of theater school where it's just your imagination and another actor and a small audience with the crew and the cast, and you're just finding honest moments.
So first of all, I just want to tell you that circling back to Siren, which is how we met. Yeah. And you were my first on-screen kiss.
Same.
And oh wait, yeah, that's right.
Same. I never had an on-screen kiss.
Okay. And my first like ever hearing action on a set was with what was his name? Matt? Remember he directed the first episode, but then
the first episode of the second season. Yes, Matt. Yes,
it's Matt, right? Okay. But Joe Menendez was there, and I remember.
Uncle Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Uncle Joe.
I know. But I just remember being on that set and being like, I remember in my head being like, "This is it, Natalie. Like they're about to say action for the first time ever," and we're sitting in that bar, and. Oh, you were there and Curtis and oh my God. And I just remember you making me feel like so comfortable. I met you in the makeup trailer and you were like, oh my God, hi.
I know. It was so different. It's so fun. Like, cause I'm a pretty gregarious person. I'm like zany. And so every time I would come into the makeup trailer and always be like, there was some music playing or some shit.
Yeah. Those trailers are so fun usually.
Yeah. And then my character, like usually all my characters are usually so gruff and so like, you know, like just weighted down. So it's always fun like snapping back between those things. But I just remember you just being just very open and receptive to the process. You know, you didn't, I don't remember like nerves from you really, but we had a very loving set.
Oh, yes.
That was very, very loving.
Very
got
loving.
along so well.
Yeah. And welcoming and
very welcoming.
Yeah, I didn't feel
very humble.
Nervous. Like I knew that I deserved to be there, right? Because I also had been auditioning for like 7 years at that time, and this was my first theatrical ever. And so I knew that I deserved to be there, but I was just almost like, I want to get this first take over with. Yeah. And when I did, I was like, okay, that was it. Wow, that was so
not as bad as
you think. Auditioning is way harder.
So much harder than doing the actual. It's so much harder.
And it's a different beast. It is a literal different
skills.
Set of skills.
Well,
Absolutely.
even now doing the tapes is just different skill from going in live. I had my first live audition the other day, the other week, and I just remember like, oh my God, these nerves, Jesus Christ! Like I had learned to quell them and use them because I was so used to auditioning in the room, and then I was like, oh, and my hands are shaking, the sides are just going like this. And I'm just kind of like, I'm a professional, I swear.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. So for the Siren audition, I remember going in and she had me do it 3 times and I did it one time and she's like, okay, you said Captain Ahab. It's Captain Ahab. And I was like, oh, okay. I did it again, said Captain Ahab. And she goes, remember Captain Ahab. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I'm so sorry. Do it a 3rd time. Leave it out completely. I just didn't say it. I just went, but I didn't know, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. So I leave, I walk out and I felt okay about it. And then I walk out and I'm opening my car door and I just start crying. And I'm like, I forgot to say Captain Ahab at all. I'm like, and it was another feeling of like what you had of like another one that I didn't get because I thought I didn't get it because you do it 3 times and then you fucking mess up the one thing that she's telling you to do. And so I was like, oh my God, another fucking audition that I didn't get. Because, right, we're at that like 7-year mark of like, and then I got
it starts to feel like hopeless. You know,
hopeless.
That feeling of just like you're just pushing and pushing and pushing and it's not budging.
Yes, and then you're hard on yourself. Like, wow, I just, I practiced so hard. I audition coached it. You get ready, you go there, and then to walk out and then be like, fuck. And now that I'm older, I realize it doesn't matter that I didn't say that. It doesn't. But I didn't know that at 23. I was like,
oh my God, I forgot you were that.
Yeah. Okay, wait. One more funny thing I have to say is I saw in an interview that you hate hearing chewing noises.
Oh my God, it just destroys me. It's the worst thing in the world. ASMR is my nightmare.
Same.
Is like in my literal nightmare. Like it's the worst.
It makes me crawl out of my skin. And if I don't hear it, it's totally fine, right? I don't hear it. If someone's eating and you're just
if it's
normal,
like too loud
or you just don't pick up on it.
Exactly.
But if you do, and they're really chewing, I am like crawling.
Chewing noises, slurping noises.
Oh,
like just like I was like,
oh my God.
I remember one of my cousins used to like. You know, when like you're eating a bowl of cereal and you drink it, and he would slurp. He would slurp off of his spoon.
Nope.
So it'd just
with the milk,
and then and it's just like I remember sitting at the table, just being like,
yes.
I'm going to kill
I
something.
know
I'm
that
going to
feeling.
break something.
I was on set once and someone was chewing gum during the rehearsal. And again, if I don't clock it, it doesn't bother me. But it was full open mouth. And I was looking around. I was looking at the other castmates and I was like, because it wasn't my show. So like it wasn't like a friend. You know what I mean? Like I was a guest and I was like, is anyone else experiencing this? Like,
does anybody else want to die right now? No.
And nobody does. Everyone's just like, everything's fine.
They got their headphones in.
Yeah.
They got their that's why I love noise canceling. Like if I'm like on set or something, then like noise cancellings are great because I don't hear any of that stuff, and I'm just like, peace. I'm Zen. I'm Buddha on lily pad.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I can't.
I thought that was funny. That was both of ours because I've said that to people before, and they're like, "Oh, it doesn't bother me." And I'm like, how?
Especially it bothered me even more now that I live by myself. Like, so it's just like when it's really quiet, it's nice and just quiet. So now like the most extraneous noise is like it's like a bullhorn to me, and I'm just kind of like, shut up.
The person's like the guy you're on a date with, like, what?
And I was like, stop it. And he was like, what? I was just breathing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that end.
Stop now.
Yeah. Or it's like it reminds me of a scene. I don't know if you know Death Becomes Her. Have you seen Death Becomes Her?
Mm-mm.
Okay. If you haven't seen Death Becomes Her, it's a 90s movie.
Okay.
95,
Death
92,
Becomes Her.
92.
Okay.
Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis.
Oh, wow.
And like Meryl Streep was like in a bad marriage with Bruce Willis, and they're in like the back of a car, and he's like breathing heavily, and she's just like, can you just not breathe?
Oh, classic.
Like, in her
Streep.
Meryl Streep way.
Oh,
and
my
it was
God.
like, it's very Madeline Ashton.
That's how I'm going to handle it from now on. Can you just stop?
Can you? No, that wasn't a question.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
No.
Period. Well, Ian, thank you so much for coming on today. I always love chatting with you.
Yeah, this was great. It was just like hanging out with headphones on.
Yeah, exactly. Sitting down, staring at each other intensely. I love it. I want to chat again because I feel like there's so many, things that we didn't cover, but there's also things that we did cover that I wasn't expecting to. So
some good stuff. I think there's always, we're all layers. We're onions.
My friend. Well, I'm hoping that you manifest everything that you dream of.
Yes, me. I hope the same for you. I hope the same for me, and I hope the same for you.
For both of us. All right, my love. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. And Ian, where can people find you at?
Oh, I'm at Ian Verdun on Instagram. That's I can't with the rest of the social media.
I feel you. I'll put that in the show
I am on
notes.
TikTok, but I have like 5 followers. I've never checked it.
It's too much. There's too many apps. I'm the exact same. I'm Instagram. I don't have anything else.
I accept my age. I'm just like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let the kids have it.
Yeah.
It's
too much
fine.
time. Honestly, you're fucking better off.
I can't. You guys can get TikTok famous. That's it's not. I'll stay in my lane.
I will stay at the Oscars. Okay.
I will stay at the Academy.
I will stay there. On that note. All right.
Yes.